Good morning, Freedom Team, man. I hope all you guys had an awesome weekend. As always, we start off Monday morning with a big old boom, and we bring on some of the biggest attractors in the entire company. And as always, man, we've got another treat here this morning. I'm going to be getting to know George like you guys are. So we're going to do this more kind of interview style where we can ask him questions, pick his brain. But let me do a little quick opening bio if you guys have an idea of who George is, and we'll obviously find out more in a minute. But George, he's been in real estate for 20 years. Was at KW for 14 of them, and then been at EXP for the last 6 years. He's just right at close to 1,000 agents, has 21 frontline qualified agents. He focuses intently on training and doing daily masterminds to help his organization with all that. He now currently lives in Central Florida, and his biggest groups are in Central Florida, as well as Chicago and Minnesota. So, man, I'm just here to learn about George here and what all you're doing. We want to pick your brain and stuff, but why don't we start off, man, just to kind of get to know who you are. Give us a little bit of your background, George. Now I know you're obviously at 14 years at KW, but why don't we maybe move up right close to what was going on with your business at that time? And then what was it that made you make the move to EXP? But before we do that, man, give us a little background just on you and kind of what got you into the world of real estate before we dig in. You're muted there, George.
There we go. That's better. And for all of y'all, it helps me greatly. Put your faces on if you can, if it's safe and you're able to do so. I like to see who I'm talking to. It makes a big difference. We do daily masterminds as well. And the energy that you all put out is honestly what feeds the success of a mastermind. So thank you for all of you doing that. Nice to see y'all. I hope to see you in person. I started working in the restaurant business when I was 13. I started shining shoes when I was 10 at the local train station. So I'm kind of a workaholic. Yeah, halfway through COVID, you remember those ads where truck drivers needed? I'm thinking, well, I'm selling, I don't know, 50 homes a year. I need a side hustle. So I like to work. I've always liked to work. Restaurants up until, 20 years ago. And I was working at high level, general manager, regional manager. And my direct report switched to a vice president of this company. I'm not going to mention McCormick and Schmick's name, and I'm definitely not going to mention Dave Jenkins as that bastard vice president. And at 65, he's solicited my 18-year-old servers and hosts it all. And I'm like, this doesn't work. So anyway, long story short, I reported them. They came back a couple of days, so we'll talk to them. Heck no. I said, I quit, and it's just not my world. And I got into real estate. My wife didn't. We had a brand new baby mortgage, an infant boy, a 2-year-old. Everything was coming from me. She was a stay-at-home mom because we chose that to be that way. And I'm like, holy crap, I gotta get good at this pretty quick. So I found the best real estate agent in East Orlando. And I said, I'm going to work for you for 1 year. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. You can take 50 cents of every dollar I make and just don't let me fail. So I really kind of applied myself into this one in 2000, and this is 2003. Sold 26, 28, 32 over those years, and then wanted to do a little bit more. I knew the market was changing 2005, and this is leading to why EXP. So stick with me, and I'm almost done with it. I've always been accused of being a little bit ahead of what's happening in the real estate market. It kind of forecast where we're going. I knew that we were about on top of a crest, and did something called the 45-day guarantee that I figured out after interviewing the two best people that do TV marketing. One of which is Jeff and Marcy Willems here with EXP, as you know, and their other person I met through them was Brent Gove. You probably all know him as well too. These were all kind of ran in the same circle because I seeked them out. So I got into that, and then got into the REOs in 2016. I joined Keller Williams, by the way, because they said God in the mission statement, and that actually works very well for me. But at that point, it was Keller who. I mean, there wasn't anybody in Connecticut, Florida, that was with Keller Williams. There maybe 25 people in all of Orlando, and jumped in with them because I knew that this was really kind of the evolution of real estate. Well, in 2016, 17, I was introduced to EXP, and I'm like, holy cow, this is the way of real estate. And for all of you that don't know, start following intensely Leo Pereira. He is our chief visionary officer. In my very, very educated opinion, I think he'll at some point be our CEO. He's absolutely brilliant. And he's an old friend of mine as well. So the reason I suggest this is the things he's putting together for our brokerage directly relate to what we're going to be talking about today, which is really, when you boil it down to the essence, is how do we help somebody become a better real estate professional, have a better life, have a better quality of life, have better support, be it great medical insurance, great financial insurance. I could talk the medical story. I'm literally one of their poster childs.
Huh.
And so I joined Keller or EXP, and my wife, God bless her, she's 5'2", English American, born in America, but Cuban by descent. She goes, I said, we're moving to EXP. She goes, no, we're not. I said, yeah, we are. And she's like, no. I said, I love Keller Williams. I said, really, what do you love? She goes, I love the people. I said, you haven't been in the office in 6 months. I said, well, I love the training. I said, that's a bold-faced lie. We went to Bold together. The only benefit is we met. You hate it. You never go back to it. She goes, well, I love the office. Oh, the place you've never been. Finally, she's like, I'll go, but if it sucks, I am leaving in 1 month. Put her little finger right here on my nose. And it's completely changed our lives. And more importantly, it's changed the lives of thousands. So my story is I'm really passionate about helping others reach their goals, succeed their goals, excel, grow. What you guys are doing with the masterminds 3 days a week plus, I believe in that as well. And I'm instrumentally involved with EXP at this point in the best onboarding process, because let's call it out, ours sucks. And improving the mentor program, which is we're focusing intensely on that. I have what I think is, well, not me, but 8 KW team leaders said this is better than anything we've ever seen anywhere. So I've given it to EXP as well. I'm committed to y'all's success. So if you have an old KW person you're talking to and somebody on your crew isn't hooked up for it, I would love to see how we can help their world.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
That's my nickel speech. Did that sound rehearsed? I didn't mean that to sound rehearsed. I mean, I've been practicing it for a week or two.
First of all, man, thank you for sharing. Sincerely appreciate it. I don't know what's going through everybody's minds, but let's just start right from scratch. So you make the move over here. What was the main thing that pulled you over? I mean, obviously there's encompass, everything's incredible, but are there one or two things that you mainly were interested in?
Well, I knew this is where we were going. Having owned a market center or part of a market center, I understand the financials behind brick and mortar. I was really thinking a lot about what does real estate look like in the future. And I wasn't so blown away by Airbnb, because at that point I wouldn't use an Airbnb. But I got the idea of Uber, and I was starting to see that platforms were really changing everything. And this was a platform that allowed me to do everything. Now, to be fair, because at that point I was, well, I hate this part of the conversation. At one point, I was the top agent in the world for Keller Williams, units sold by far. And I've always been the top agent in Orlando, or in Florida and in Orlando. So for me to move was going to make a pretty big wake. And at this point, we're pretty big. KW is the biggest company at that point. And I grew with them, and I love them. And I still think they're a great company. The only other company I ever worked for. But I also knew the financial model. And when I was really, really digging in deep, I went to a EXP convention down in Fort Lauderdale. And I was going to interview a minimum of 60 people. I interviewed 72 people, the CEO, the COO, and the CFO of the company, because I needed to make sure that the culture was right. And everything about it was right. And I knew it was where we were going to be in the world and where the platform was going to be. It's like getting Amazon 20 years ago when you're just buying books. And you're like, this is better than it really looks right now. And for any of you that have been with EXP for 6 years, that first year I was with them, the first year and a half, it was kind of wonky, man. I mean, you couldn't get people on board for 3 weeks, and it was just a mess. But it's now proven to be this is the Ferrari in the room.
Yeah, no doubt. So you came on, made the splash. Did you know from the very beginning you were going to build a big rev share team, or did this just start to kind of happen?
Jackie, I love you. That's my wife. I was kind of done with the emotion of real estate. So I said, I wanted to see if that's something that we could do. But the truth of the matter is, and this is the part that I think you're going to kind of get, back then, I wasn't talking, I literally didn't speak to anybody about EXP at all. I didn't want to recruit anybody. That wasn't my mission, because the company was still growing, and we went from 5 to 10 to 20 in a year. And it was just, I thought I might have made a mistake. I knew it was right, but I had to be careful because I was going to make a really big wake. So I didn't pursue anybody for really the first 6 or 7 months until I got settled in. And then, like everybody, you got 3 people and 5, and then all of a sudden it turns into 10, and you're like, oh, look at this, a $3,000 revenue share month. This works. Holy crap. And it really, you kind of tumble over yourself. By the way, I gotta share this. Let me do this real quick. For any of y'all out there, if you get 10 people in your revenue share group, I don't care where they are, underneath you, you are responsible, or people under you are responsible for 10 people. One challenge you do this: add 1 person per month who's going to actually produce. New agents don't count. Don't misunderstand me. New agents deserve all sorts of treats. And boy, do we have a curriculum we're building for them that is over the top excellent. Will help. It's going to help the numbers from, it's an 80-20 where 20% fail. I firmly believe that that's because it should be 50-50. Now, 50% just shouldn't be in real estate. We all know who they are. They're not really cut out for this. And it's just, I don't have to work and I make a ton of money. No, it's hard work. We can fix that. But bottom line, have 10 people in your revenue share group, sponsor one person per month for the next 12 months, and have your revenue share group grow at an average growth rate of 10% per month. Totally doable when you have a smaller group. Would you agree? That's a pretty fair statement.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. And then after that, sponsor nobody else and just let it continue to grow for 2 years at that rate, which is extremely sustainable over that. You'll end up with 497 real estate agents in your revenue share group. And in current numbers, that comes out to somewhere around $15,000 to $20,000 in your pocket per month. So there is something here to be said. And you already have the background with the Freedom Team, so you don't have to create the platform. You don't have to create the environment. Now, remember, there's the Freedom Team. In my case, it's GPS, can't see that, GPS Global Partners. Yep. And then we have this big umbrella of EXP, which we're actually organizing as well, where they start curating classes for different levels and better stuff going on. This is where people can actually change their lives. The revenue share is a bonus for us, but if I challenge everybody to come from how can I help? And I'll talk, and we should talk about it. What do the conversations look like? Because that's fundamental. And anyway, I don't know. I have ADD and I also had coffee and I'm in the middle of a fast. So let's just get out of the way. Fuck, there we go. I said my dirty word too. I'm just that guy. And you can reach me anywhere on Workplace if you need anything. So I hope I'm on track, but we'll see.
Can you speak to, I've heard a little bit about it, don't know the details. You're saying EXP is even begin to slowly kind of categorize. If it's a new agent, here's kind of the roadmap. You're talking about if you're a 3 million trying to go to 6 million, here's the roadmap. Can you talk more about that, what you know about it up to this point?
Sure. So my big conversation came with shareholders. I was talking to the COO. We have a new COO of the company who, if y'all don't know this, there's a yes line. And what that means is if you ever get a no, call the yes line and they'll figure out how to make your no a yes. And he literally looks at everything and they've got a 96% success rate of any call is handled, it's immediately answered. So we're really, really keying in now on high level service to our number one customer above everything else. And that's us. We're EXP's number one customer and they got that. But we started playing around with their onboarding process because it's kind of wonky. There's too many emails. It's not automated, and it's nowhere near what a technology company we really are should be. It's more of a, hi, are you a new agent? Literally somebody talking to you. This is where we're going. Are you a new agent or an experienced agent? If you're new, click this button. If you're experienced, click this button. Take your time. I'm in no hurry today. Literally, that's the kind of automation we're looking for, where we can start walking them through. But there's more to it. We need a curator of education. We've got things like Family Tree. We've got some events that we put on that are local training events that you all do in your group, we do in our group. That Kinder's group's doing. Wouldn't it be great if we could send that in and have one of those links be curated and given out to somebody who's really kind of just about ready to build a team, who are looking for pathways, and they're doing it. I expect, well, Q1, Leo Pereira was talking about Q1. He goes, you can't believe what's going on. I got a private demo and it was awesome. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So
you think could I reach out to him and schedule that for the Freedom Team for him to come speak?
No, because it wasn't my team. It was just, Leo and I got into REO together. He was the number 3 agent when I was number 1 at KW. And then the next year he proudly acknowledges that he was number 1 and took over, but never let him tell you that he didn't have his ass whooped by George first. Okay. He's amazing. He's our chief visionary officer. And this man is incredible. Has anybody here heard of Remind, the software Remind?
I have not.
It's offered with MLS, and it's a software that's pretty much nationwide. He invented it. 30 under 30, 40 under 40. I mean, just phenomenal. The guy's amazing. This is our visionary officer, and we're doing things that are crazy. And I want to share this with you because this is really kind of where we're evolving to. And there's a lot of things that could, a lot that you can play into this. But imagine if we're dealing with something, if you're dealing with a platform or you're dealing with some form of a benefit, like, I don't know, we want to share listings inside of our brokerage. Okay, we can absolutely do that. That's 100% compliant. But you can't share listings from one franchise to another franchise to another franchise, because that actually breaks the laws. We're the largest real estate broker in the world. We're one broker in the entire United States. Obviously, Canada is coming along as well. We have an internal listing that shows up where, and I just had a couple of them pop up into my thing today. Let's see if I can find them real quick. Well, bottom line is we can do things because we're a large brokerage that nobody else can do. This is the kind of stuff that I'm interested in. It's not going to happen with REOs, but wouldn't it be cool if we called Fannie Mae back and said, hey, Fannie, listen, we'll distribute every asset for you exactly the same. You don't have to hire asset managers. We'll handle all the back of the house and we'll just turn over great property because we're one broker and it'll be done perfect every time. I don't know. Maybe that would work for Realtor.com. Currently using OpCity, which charges them, and Realtor.com only gives a damn about having their clients answered quickly. OpCity's making money. Realtor.com could make more. There's a lot of opportunity here. And that's what's coming, and that's what we're seeing. Unfortunately, it's a nationwide operation. So it's between Mike Valdez and Leo. Be around them whenever you can, even if it's just take a picture and ask them questions. This is explosive.
No, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing. I'm not sure how many of us knew all that's kind of going on, but every time I'm on any of the Alpha Zooms, there is so much in the works.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's just good to speak to everybody for a minute, just to reiterate to everyone, boy, you're in the right place at the right time. Obviously, so many brokerages are struggling, and we are by far winning in a big way. So I think it starts there for a minute to go, well, you need to be sold to the core that there is no better place you can be, seriously, as an agent. It has to start there. But let's kind of jump into the meat and potatoes. Having 1,000 people on your team is obviously amazing. What are you doing different today to attract agents than you were when you got started 6 years ago? Are you out making outbound phone calls? Are you cold calling? What do you do right now to continue to build in today's market?
So I think that in the last 3 years, we've seen a pretty big transition. It is 100. Well, there's actually two different conversations that could be had. I can speak to somebody who would be a natural icon in my world, and I think all of our worlds. If somebody's selling 25 or 30 homes a year, right off the bat, you are creating financial malpractice to your family. I don't care where you're at. It does not matter. Just remove everything else. Imagine you have complete freedom to do your business the way you want to run your business without any stipulations or real, stupid stuff. And you can do it and grow and continue to be amazing. And it's not causing financial malpractice to your family. That's a good business decision. Now, that's the conversation I have with an icon agent. It's almost exclusive, meaning somebody's selling 25 or 30 homes. The conversations I'm having now are more relationship building. In fact, if you don't mind me sharing this, because it's really, a lot of the big teams already know everybody. And that's totally cool, because 80% of the homes are going to be sold in the next 5 years are sold by people who aren't even licensed yet. Mm-hmm. So I talked to an agent that's selling 10 homes, and I'll ask him some very basic questions. Number one, this is in very specific order. What do you think of this wonky market? And that's my Midwestern coming out with the word wonky. So what do you think of this wonky real estate market? And then listen to what they have to say. It's all about relationships. I said, well,
so let me pause real quick. I'm sorry, George. So is this from somebody you've already done a transaction with? You just have crossed paths in the market at a networking event, or when you say
a little bit of both? It's almost, for me, it's pretty much the same, and it's all about them. And it could be somebody I'm just introduced to, somebody I've met, somebody that I'm in transaction with, because I'm in transaction with the commitment that it's the number one priority that we have is to our clients and to the well-being of both the buyer and the seller. That's because we're transactional here in the state of Florida. And I want to set the tone that I really care about the people, because truthfully, I do. That's my passion. The conversation I said with the icon is you could go very financial, and it is what it is, because they don't want anything to do with anything else except the numbers. They're running their own business, their own world. With everybody else, I'm always interested. What do you think about the market? How's your real estate business going? Where does most of your business come from? What is getting in the way of you either achieve, or what, are you meeting your goals, or is something getting in the way? What is it that gets in the way? And then I try and help them solve some problems. I almost never try and recruit anymore. I try and create relationships more than anything. And if you ask enough questions, they're going to say, all right, tell me about EXP.
I thought you're going to go that direction. So you're telling me you don't ever bring it up. So you're in the midst of trying to help them solve their issue problem. Do you ever take the initiative to go, "Boom, let me kind of tell
Oh,
you the reason I was calling you"? And what is
well,
that?
if so, that's a remember. There's two different. There's a cold call or there's a relationship building environment, or a phone call and a relationship building environment. If I'm prospecting and I'm outbound calling and I'm making calls to agents that are successful, I'm on point. How's their business? See if I can find a problem in there and then solve the problem. Because the truth of the matter is, until they know you care about them, until you can solve a problem, it doesn't really matter. They're not interested. It's just something else, unless you just happen to get that perfect. They're at 2 years, 7 months, and 14 days, the national average from when they're moving, and you called them on 2 years, 7 months, and 13 days. Perfect timing. Create a relationship, and then it's follow-up, like everything else, our database, like everything else we're doing in real estate. It's all going to be relationships at this point, I believe. That's my opinion.
Okay. So you're having that call, you're solving their problem. Do you then set up another call? Do you say, hey, why don't we stay connected on social media? Why don't we grab coffee one day? Where does the next step for you go?
Oh my God. You got to speak to my friend Jeff. He's absolutely brilliant. He literally is an expert at exactly what you're doing. If I can schedule a quick call with him, would you be open to having a conversation? The worst thing that's going to happen is you and I are going to learn something about real estate. This guy is amazing, literally the best of the best. And he's an expert in what you do. And he can probably give both of us an idea.
Okay. So you
And
start
we
off,
would
I
like
like
that. It'd be
that.
fun.
So no XP's been discussed. You're solving problems, bringing a three-way call expert.
Yep.
They get on.
Well, but he says, yeah, that'd be great. So I set up a text message back and forth. I said, well, actually, probably. And then after we set it up, Jeff or whoever's doing it will turn it into a Zoom call. That way, if there's anything we need to share, kind of thing, and it's a normal pass off that we go, we bring in somebody in that can help answer and solve a problem. And then prior to that conversation or prior to that phone call, I said, listen, I'm going to send you over a 9-minute video that kind of explains a little bit about EXP. This is not a recruiting call, but I want you to have a knowledge of what the company's about. I think that's really important because I know Jeff will be referring to things that you're going to want referencing, and there's zero pressure here. And that's usually suffice. Now I use CRM Grow, and I want to make sure that they actually watch that before the call because they need to be prepared for it. Remember, I am in fact intentionally trying to recruit them, but I want to solve their problem first, but they're going to have to meet me halfway, and they're going to have to either ask enough intelligent questions that I can help explain some value propositions to them, or they've seen something and watched all of it that lets me know that they're up to snuff. Otherwise, I'm not going to waste Jeff's time on that. I would say, hey, I hate to do this. Let's reschedule this. John, we really need to talk more about, the foundation that we work on before we get Jeff on the phone. He's extremely busy and he's got some great stuff. So I will go once they commit to it. I will go. By the way, get him to commit 3 times. That's right out of Kinder's playbook. If I send you over something, would you do me the favor and just watch it? It means a lot that you know this before the call. Yeah, great. Well, if I send it over today, when do you think you'd be able to watch it? Well, I could definitely watch it by tomorrow. Terrific. So before the call on Thursday with Jeff, you will have absolutely watched this. 3 tie downs, your success rate goes up by about 40% that they'll actually watch it. So 20 will, you're now at 60. So really, you're having really informed conversations with 3 out of every 5 people that commit to you, as opposed to 20%.
Yeah, yeah. And listen, guys, everybody that's here, I could continue to ask questions. I'm going to pause for just a minute. Let's just open up for everybody because he just wants to do Q&A. So anything that you want to know, particulars, anything, let's dig deep, guys. We got a gentleman here with 1,000 agents on his team. I'm sure anybody here would love to have that. Ask away. Anybody, you guys. Or I can continue to ask. I know there's some of you guys on here who's wanting to ask some questions, so let's make it happen.
So let me ask a couple questions while we've got everybody on here. The ones that I can see, just to show of hands would be totally cool. Who is interested in and participating in attraction in any level at all? Is it something you're focusing on? Terrific. Okay. So I appreciate that. Are you, this is a tough question. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Look at you, man. Melvin, thank you for raising your hand. Do you have a question or is that just you're agreeing? I think that's very cool. Listen,
I'm agreeing.
Oh, right on, brother. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. So here's the thing. Who's selling EXP? Be truthful. If you had to say that you start like peeing all over people, or are you really asking more questions of them and trying to find out where their challenges are. Hopefully the second one. So think about the last conversations you might have had. Mine usually went like this. Oh my God, it's the best company in the world. You need to know all about it. The revenue share is phenomenal. It's just great. Holy crap. I love it. It's so good. I make so much money. And they're out. Because I presumed that I knew what was important to them. So maybe go into it with a conversation where you say, the next real estate agent, I want to know how they're doing. I want to know where their business comes from. I want to compliment them on their success and let them know that I care and be genuinely interested in what's going on. And then maybe ask the question of, any challenges? What's the stone in your shoe that's slowing you down right now? And it's going to be the market or the model or whatever the case may be. But at least you know where they get their business. So you can follow up very easily. Anybody I speak to, if they get their business from database or from open houses or farming, I actually have them in KV Core, because that's where I keep everybody, and CRM Grow when I'm sending them stuff to see. And I have it hashtag. So I run across anything that has to do with open houses or database or whatever their hashtag is. I search by hashtag and I say, this is a killer article. I ran across it. I thought of you because I know this is a big thing in your business. I hope there's a nugget in here for you. Contribute, contribute, contribute. Be their real estate broker partner prior to them needing one. That's what I meant to say. I have to say this just because, so I'm 58 and this is real life story, but it's relevant for anybody here that I can see that's at least 50 and in absolutely perfect health and has never, ever needed any kind of concern. Don't even worry about medical insurance or anything else. I didn't think so, because it becomes relevant as you get to a certain age. I will tell you that our health insurance is over the top phenomenal. And this is something that's real important, particularly to somebody who is, let's say my age, 58, and saying, I really want to slow down a little bit, but I can't, I'm not 65 or 67 or whatever their age is where you get other stuff. This is a huge, huge topic. I'll give you a background story on this real quick, because I don't want to belittle it, but I want you guys to be aware of what happened. I used to study rock climbing and motocross, as opposed to actually going to college in Colorado. I was more a participant in the extracurricular activities. So both my knees are completely shot. I had to replace them 2 years ago. And then immediately upon replacing them, I had a very, very mild heart attack. All of this was knocked out by the health insurance. Now I'm still involved in this, but I had a challenge with one of the invoicers. Well, because we actually switched from a company called Sedera, who was under the Clearwater umbrella, to a company called Boomi, who's now part of the Clearwater umbrella. And they said, well, that's, pre-existing. This is the part to remember. So I had this concern. I said, no, it's really not. I've got an issue with this. And I brought it up to somebody. I'm not going to mention Leo Perea's name again. And he goes, leave this with me. And the CEO of Clearwater calls up and says, we've reviewed this. This is wrong. It was our mistake. We're going to fix it. And we're actually reviewing it to make sure we haven't done the same thing to any other EXP agent. You're not a number. And that's really cool, especially when you're in need of health or service or care. My wife is 32, 55, and I'm 58. And our health insurance with the $2,500 deductible is $669. And I have no pre-existing conditions. And that is free doctor visits and screenings and all that crap too. Now, I say this because that's a big deal for anybody, and it's cheap for children too. So just as an FYI, do you know enough about EXP to be able to have an authentic story, which is your victory story, how this is better? Feel, felt, found. You'll hear all the time. I always ask people, what's your authentic story? Because you need to be able to communicate when they say, well, so what about you? I said, well, I can just tell you my story. I was really freaked out about coming. And then I found that this company gave me freedom, my big word, to everything. Yours too. I love the team, Freedom Team. Gave me the freedom to run my business my way, more support from people who were doing business better than, because I already know that they have no training with their office, doing business better than I was doing it. And they were willing to share. And we're in network sharing all of this great stuff since we're not competing. And I'm able to do this at a zero cost basis, which has made this basically I'm doing real estate for free with more support and more freedom than I've ever had. That's just my story. Do you have one? Do you have an authentic story that when asked, you can talk about you and make it exciting? Because they want to know, but remember, do not throw up on them, please. Don't go into it with well, let me tell you everything, and blah, 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 this is great. It's just my authentic story. And then they say, oh, that's actually kind of cool. So yeah, you know what? Let me I got a friend of mine who can explain it better than I can for sure. Why don't I set up a time for that? There's always something else going on. You always set them with somebody else too. Never just one and done. When you're off the call, and I'll role play this out too. Tomorrow I go down to one espresso. I promise. Sorry about this, guys. You're getting barrage. This is just me throwing it at you. But I'll get off the phone call. We do this call, and I immediately get the Zoom call's over there with Jeff or with whoever, Brent or one of my investor partners who's brilliant, or a team leader. It doesn't matter, whatever suits them. And then I follow up. I say, "What'd you think? That was pretty cool." And they're going to say two things: "Yeah, it was okay," or "Yeah, it was really, really cool." And I'm like, "So what do you think we should do next?" And they're like, "Well, I want more information." Okay, great. I can send you more information. Let me do that. Or I can set that up. I'll send you more information. And also, let me see if I can put us on the phone with somebody else. What else do you want to know about? Let's put an expert on the phone with you. One of our vice presidents of attraction, whatever the case may be. I may call you up and say, "Hey, listen, let's hook up. I need a square away on this one. They want to grow something big, and you're the example." It doesn't really matter, but there's always something else. Always something else. And please, after that first one, you can schedule it out a week or so. Everything else should be within a day or two right afterwards. Okay, that's very important because you start to lose some energy. And then now that's okay. You have a higher probability of success of having them realizing getting sucked into the energy of it if you move fairly quickly through this process. And if not, that's okay. Just start with the follow-up.
Mhm.
And if we have time, I will tell you the absolute best way to never lose anybody in follow-up, and it applies to database too. It's something that I preach and teach on. So if we have some time before 11 o'clock your time, I'll be glad to share that as well, because it's something I want you guys to adopt if you think it makes sense.
You got my attention right now. If there's no other questions, yeah, what do you do to have someone not fall out of that funnel and maintain
Okay,
that?
so does everybody have a database they're using? Show of hands, people I can see. Yes, we have a database. Thumbs up. You're all set. If you don't have a database, you need to have one. If you've got a legal pad, that actually worked. Branco did pretty well with one. But remember, we have KV Core. It's for free. But for our conversation, I'm going to pretend that everybody does have some form of CRM that they're using.
Can you pass that?
Is that fair?
Yes. And I'd imagine most people here probably are on CRM Grow.
All right, cool. So CRM Grow allows us to hashtag people. If I'm speaking today, and I'm just going to pick on Chuck just because it's one of my best friends' names. Chuck and I meet, and I'm having a conversation with Chuck, and I don't want to lose Chuck's information. I got his business card at a networking event. He and I both like the Chicago Bears, so neither of us feel very popular in the world anymore. And we hit it off, though. He's a good guy. So I'm going to put Chuck into my CRM Grow, and I'm going to put him in as an agent, and I'm going to put him in as a hashtag. What's today's date? 12th? 11th. Hashtag 11 recruit. You just pop on. What's up, Chuck? I didn't mean to call you out, brother. I swear to God, one of my best friends named Chuck. I'm like, and Jason's from Boulder, Colorado. God bless you, Jason. God bless you. I love Boulder. That was a lot right up until I got arrested. Oop. I don't have to say that without my lawyer. So I'm going to put you in, Chuck, as hashtag 11 recruit. And on the 11th, and every day, I go in, I take a look at my CRM Grow, and I type in hashtag today's number, 01, 02, 011, or 11, 28. And anytime I'm hashtagging that number, I'm going to call you up. So the conversation would go something like this, because I've already stalked you on social media. I know that what you're doing, Chuck. We were just, you and I've, it was great. And there's the onboarding to my database is always follow up the next day. Really enjoyed our conversation. God, that's just amazing. Let's stay in touch. And now I know that you're a database guy, because we talked about it. Most of your business is referral, repeat and referral business. And you're also awesome at for sale by owners. That's something else you're doing. So I now have topics I can send you no matter what. But on the 11th of every month, you're going to get a message from me, a phone call usually. Say, hey, dude, I'm just checking in. How you doing? Hey, by the way, I saw you sold this house down the street and got over asking price, which is pretty good in this market. Just rock solid. I just wanted to call and say hi. So I'm going to stay in contact with him. Now, imagine if you did that with your database that you already have. These are your database where your business comes from. What if you got 150 people that pass what I like to call the grocery store test? And that's that if you see him down the aisle of a grocery store, you got two options. First option is duck, run, and cover. Get out of the way because you forgot their name, you recognize them, but you don't want to talk to them. And the other ones, you walk up and you're like, "What's going on, Jason? Good to see you, man. I haven't seen you since Boulder, Colorado at the White Horse, and you were really drunk that day." Yeah, man, I know where I work. Bottom line is, if they pass that, they're one of those people that are part of my database, my centers of influence. I want to make sure that I'm reaching out to them at least once a month. Now, y'all may or may not have heard this, but back in 2002, 3, and 4, Keller was writing the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and we came out in 2005 with it. And we had a lot of input in there, and we did something called the 33 touch. That means if you touch somebody 33 times over the course of a year, for every 20 or every 12 people you did, you'd get 2 transactions. Now, let's just simplify that. Say for every 10 people you get 1, because they're going to dumb it down. And it's no longer 33 because of social media. Now it's more like 45. But if you called somebody every single month on their specific day, they'll never recognize it. Chuck would never know that I'm calling every single day on the 14th or whatever the date would be. Now, I'm also going to probably tag him in social media, or if it was a great call, I'd write him a handwritten note. You can't see it, but I'm actually staying somewhere, and there's my stack of handwritten notes, already self-addressed envelopes with a stamp on them. And so I'm going to follow up with him more than just that. And I'm also probably going to, because if he's in my database, I would give him a hashtag of monthly postcards, which I work with for any prospective sellers. And I send out a monthly success postcard that shows that my wife and I sell a home, which is basically my wife, Jackie, and that guy in the shadows behind him that sold the home. So they get that our 3 seconds of evidence of success. And I give them a monthly update, which would be an email with 3 bullet points. There's a whole formula for this, but the thrust of it is it's an email update from Jackie and George. Hey, just want to keep you informed of what we're doing. 3 bullet points. The open rate on that is dismal the first month you send it out because you haven't talked to your people in forever. Most of you are like me. After about 4 or 5 months, you'll find your open rate is high as a cat. It is crazy what happens. We put one out a couple of years ago and we have like 75 people in our database. That's it. That's all we want. We don't want a lot. And so we're going to Italy, just wanted updates. Didn't tell anybody where in Italy, just Italy. Of those 75, 43 people responded back with suggestions. Now remember, it just says, just want to give you an update. Here's the conversations for the day. Italy, school's almost over. Hurricane season starts. It was a 90-second video, 45 replies. That's obscene because I'm interested in them and I'm reaching out to them, and on social media, I'm commenting, and on their, I got my phone. I'm using my phone as a camera today, so it's clear. On Facebook, I go to events and I find out when their birthday is in the week. Every Sunday I do this, and I'll pick everybody that I want to talk to. And then on Sundays, I'll send a video, messenger video, because it keeps them on my feed more on Facebook. I'm old as dirt, so obviously I use Facebook and nothing else. But now Facebook recognizes that I'm even closer, that we're closer because we're going back and forth. And here's your Sunday speech. Your birthday's coming up in 4 days. I know it, Susan, and I am historically, I miss this. I'm not missing it today. Happy birthday early. I'm the first one to send it to you. I love you. Have an amazing day. Say hi to Bob, your husband. I was just thinking about you. God bless you. Bye now. Send. Go through and do that on Sundays and look at what's happening this week going up and hit everybody that's going forward. It'll take you around 30 minutes. And you'll do it off the cuff. And the biggest problem is they will respond quickly enough to interrupt while you're doing it to other people. That is the numbers based on how to keep track of the agents you're recruiting and attracting by using your hashtags and using numbers at which to know when to reach out to them at a minimum once a month. If you got somebody who's real hot and interested, give them 2 numbers. If their number is 11, their next number is going to be 25, which is 2 weeks later. Now, I have to say this because I won't ever talk about this without bringing this part to it. Your job when you're calling them, and this goes for the agents, goes for everybody. By the way, I actually have my family on this system because I'm that forgetful. I'll forget to call my family. So I put them on and they still haven't figured it out. I've been doing this for years. So they know, they're like, we love our whatever, my uncle and my aunt. They're like, you're awesome. You never forget us. You're great. You're not real good with Christmas cards, but boy, It's so nice talking to you. I'm like, it's the 12th. I'm going to call him tomorrow, Uncle Phil. It's the 12th every single month. Now, my number one job, though, in these phone calls for both of us is, 1 through 30. I just got a comment on there, and I think it says from 1 through 30, and you can keep some days off. I do want to comment. Is everybody here from Boulder, Colorado? If so, you guys are awesome. Right foot, flat irons, first day after a party. No idea where I was going.
I'm not leaving. I'm looking for one of these.
Oh, you got something fun? Oh, you
Thank
got something
you.
fun. I used to live on Pearl Street. I may or may not have been arrested for mushrooms, which is now legal in Colorado back then. And legally, without my lawyer here, I don't have to speak about that. Okay, that was a while ago.
Not really legal, but that's okay.
It's on the margin. Holy crap, I went there last time. They told me, the guy at the airport, we were driving through Boulder and we went up into Colorado, my wife and I, and he goes, oh yeah, people can run around naked in Boulder. It's perfectly legal. I'm like, freaking kidding me? I love this place. But it was
Yes,
real
he
cold.
is kidding you.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. Anyway, 1 through 28, because it happens if you take the weekend off, we'll call people on Monday and Tuesday. This is the important part. The mission is to let them know that they're awesome, that you value them and that you care about them, and that your call is about them. And if they even ask about business or about work or anything else, this is more just a personal call. I'll be back in the office. If you have a real estate question, do you? No? Okay. Oh, because I'll be back in the office about an hour. I was just thinking about you. Now that's for database. When you're attracting other agents and relationships, and imagine, guys, you want to attract a lot of real estate agents, go where they are, talk to as many people as you can and have conversations about them. And you can expedite this very quickly. It's not unheard of to add 20 people to your database on a regular month, very, very easily. Go to a couple networking things and meet some people that you genuinely like, but they have to pass that public test or the grocery store test. I like them. They're good people. I want to work with them. And then have conversations. You'd be amazed what happens to their world because now they know somebody cares. And I'll let you in on a little secret that now we're back to recruiting and the attraction side of it. If they don't think you care, they're not going to care to join you. We join people. It's not about money. Unless you're a solo business person, a very successful high-level agent, then money is a relevant thing. You usually have a team. It's about a relationship. So create one. And it's actually fun because there's no pressure on your calls. All I want you to do, if it were up to me, is I want you to make sure that they know that they count. Because most people don't feel like they do. And most brokerages, they don't. They're a number. That's the difference here. Anyway.
I love it. So I can tell, obviously everything is relationship, which is phenomenal. At some point in time, I'd imagine as you're having that dialogue, whether second time, third time, fourth time. So do you generally almost just wait till they ask you anything about EXP before you try to schedule anything? Or how does it generally go about with you when agents are joining?
So let's say we've gone through that first call and I call them back afterwards. What'd you think? They're like, oh my God, this is awesome. I said, well, do you want to know what the next step is? And yeah, of course I do. It may be 3 or 4 calls into it and it's usually not. And I'm like, so what'd you think? They're like, this is so cool. I know. That's my normal reply, right? Like that. I know. I said, do you want to know what the next step is? They're like, yeah. Well, most people, we get started on this process, we get ourselves queued up, ready to go, and then we work on the transition so that you can have everything that it's really going to free you up or help your business or continue to grow. Let's do that right now. I just come right at it because they're affirming. You can't force somebody. They're going to have to let their guard down. They won't tell you, I'm really kind of excited about this until they know that you actually give a damn about them and they're not a number.
I got you. So you just play it by ear. If you've had 2, 3, however many dialogues it takes, and if it just feels right, and you're asking about the next step and so forth, if it feels right, then you'll take that next step. Well, man, I can tell you how we can get this to you every single day. Yeah. Right? We masterminds like this. So a lot of 3-way calls, and because that's one thing I think I have not done near enough of. And when I look back over the last 6.5 years, George, boy, the ones that I saw that came quicker than I thought was when I kept getting them on a call or a Zoom with somebody else. It is interesting. It takes 2 or 3, 4 other people they hear from that are pouring into them, answering their questions. How can we help? And boy, they want to be a part of that. So I love the way that you're building. Got questions at all, you guys, for George? You've got another 15 minutes.
Yeah. Are you the board the hell out of them, or are we covered a lot?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, thank you, George. This has been amazing, and I'm going to go back to the recording because you talk fast. I missed a bunch of stuff. So, but thank you. I take a very direct approach. I call people I don't know, and I ask them if they're open to seeing the opportunity. And then the next call, when we set up a call, that's when we really just dig into who they are, what they're looking for, so that then the next call after that, we can address, maybe how that all fits. And, and Jason's my husband, by the way. And he's the one that I do the cold calling. He takes the call. And there have been some amazing people that have joined us using that process, but there's also been some amazing people that we just haven't been able to make that connection with. And I now, some of the tools that you've spoken about, the happy birthday, all of that, I think, making that connection deeper to kind of follow it through. And I also struggle a little about, and sorry, this is a lot of questions, setting up that three-way call, because if I'm talking to a solo agent who wants to double, or a team leader who has 10 agents, they're going to need to talk to very different people, I think. Or am I wrong? Am I overthinking it?
You're absolutely right. So let's stay on that one, and then we can go backwards, because I've already forgotten, and I had to have you on speaker because the flat irons are over your right shoulder, and you're bringing me back, and I love you, and you're awesome, and Jason, you're pretty cool too. But I got a picture of flat iron. So you have to have a stable of people that you can call to, that you can use. And you've got Sean, obviously. I would obviously lean there, but you've also got somebody in there who's a brand new licensed agent, who's been in real estate for about a year, that's part of your group, who you say, you know what, I love what you're doing. How can I help support you? And if I ever have somebody that needs to talk to an agent that's got great success, would you mind being my go-to person? So let's say there's somebody that lives in the Boulder area, or the Aurora area, somewhere around there, and we need a new agent. We've got a new agent who we think is talented. I want them to talk to a new agent, because it's all about the training and about the support and the fact that they can do anything. If they're mid-level, the same thing. If they're a larger team, if they're in the growth, obviously Sean's going to and probably knock it out on a couple of those things. Find out who your people are, because mine are almost never the same. It's people that I'm in relationship with, and those people are actually hashtag different numbers too. Brent Gove doesn't know it, but on I think it's this 21st, because it's lucky. I put him on 21 for lucky. But I messaged Brent and I messaged Kathy in a group text almost all the time on the 21st, or I give them a phone call, one or the other, and just see how they're doing, because I want to make sure I foster that relationship. That's going to be very helpful for you. Excuse me, in what you're doing, Tricia, and it'll help you greatly. I think that covered what to say in the different people. There's something else in there, but I think I've lost it. Would you mind refreshing me?
I think I kind of lost it too. Oh, but I did have one. Something else did come to mind. Sorry. I have a little ADD too. The little script. Hey, I want you to talk to Jeff. Can you do that again, please?
Oh, sure. Trish, listen, it's one of our business partners is absolutely phenomenal. He's a cold caller just like you, and his wife handles the business. Sorry, didn't mean to throw you under the bus, Jason, but I'm switching roles. And I mean, just the guy is phenomenal. And this is third-party testimonial. I'm going to give you some background on that in just a second. So he's real busy, but if I can get him on the phone for 10 minutes, would you be open to have a conversation? The worst thing that's going to happen is we're both going to learn something that's going to help us continue to build our business. Would you be open to me setting that up if I can?
Yeah.
Your response is, yeah,
yeah,
terrific. So what I'll do is, all right, well, let me put together a group text. And before I do that, so I'm going to now roll it back as if I'm talking to Sean at this point. And I was using Sean as my example. Hey, Sean, I've got Trish on that I want to do a group text. Trish and Jason, they're an amazing couple, and they're really, really interested in learning a little bit more. If I set up a group text, what are your availabilities look like? Would you be open to it? And he's like, yeah, that'd be great. So the group text would be with, let's say, Trish and Jason, all respect, Trish, it's you and Sean, you guys are having this. Sean, I want to introduce you to Trish. She's amazing. Lives in Boulder, probably one of the top agents there. Her and her husband sell a ton of homes. They're just awesome. They've turned into really good friends of mine. I was wondering if we could steal a couple minutes of your time. Trish, I need to introduce you to Sean. He is the absolute best builder of a business I've ever seen. He's got about 2,100 agents under him. He's incredibly giving and caring. I just love this guy. I am so excited if we can get the three of us on a call. Why don't you let us know if there's a time that works for you, Sean? Now, the text is this long, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. You're valid to Sean. He knows you're real, but more importantly, he already knows you're coming. But you know that he knows you're real, and you get to meet him through me validating him. So before I carry this on, I'm going to give you third-party testimonials. Y'all keep this in mind. This is very important. We had a conversation earlier about a bunch of us got into Fannie Mae together. There was actually 5 agents that all of us got in because of this one strategy. Jeff and Marcy Willems, Leo Pereira, Mike Costigan, Anthony Lamacchia, and myself. Anthony Lamacchia now runs the largest independent brokerage in New England. These are really good people, myself excluded. They're good people. Before we got on the boat, there's like 300 people on the boat, 3 Fannie Mae asset managers. I said, so here's our strategy. Talk about the 4 people on the boat that are the ballers when it comes to this, that none of us have a chance. These 4 are the absolute best real estate agents when it comes to REOs. They are the kings of this business already. Now, there's 5 of us, so I'm talking about Leo, Anthony, Jeff, and Costigan, and they're all doing the same. When the boat was pulling back in, we were at Fort Lauderdale Intercoastal. 15 minutes before we were docking, the 3 Fannie Mae asset managers and all 5 of us were on the bow of the boat, and there wasn't a single other person permitted up there or around us, and all 5 of us got into Fannie Mae. Because we validated each other, it's much more real. If you talk and validate the person they're going to speak to, it's now a gift. Imagine, and I'll finish with this and turn it back over to you guys. Trish, I'm going to introduce you to what I consider to be the epitome of what new real estate agents should be like. This is the most energetic, outgoing person I've ever seen, and they have built a phenomenal business. They're on schedule to close $10 million. I don't know if you know that, but that's like $175,000 their very first year in real estate, and they did it the right way. If I could get 10 minutes on the phone with them, would you be open to having that conversation so we can try and duplicate that with you? What would you say?
Absolutely.
Totally validated. I'm going to validate both of you on the phone. Same thing, new agent, but oh my God, she's going to be amazing. She's got this outgoing personality. I'm talking about you kind of thing. It's real important how you set this up. And remember, we're setting up for long-term relationships, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean you can't cold call people and have high-level conversations with them. You just don't, it doesn't stop at cold calling. Because if you're a prospector, as I am originally, one and done is usually what happens. And I would challenge you to dig a little more. And now I'm speaking directly to you, Trish. Where's your business come from? What do you think of this crazy market? Find that information out. Give it to Tony. Give it to Jason, so Jason can say, okay, if we get anything great, hey, Trish and Jason just sent me something really cool about database, or we've got a great class coming out about prospecting. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of ways to communicate, and communication is critical. You need to be their broker before they realize they don't want their broker anymore. You have to be the go-to person, or have the go-to person in your crew.
Yeah, let me say this to everybody. 3-way calls, which again, I know I haven't done enough of, and I used to do a ton. And I keep hearing this from more and more of the big veterans. So I put down here the 3-way call training in the chat. That is from Casey. You guys, if you never heard it, she nails it. She is a professional from the network marketing industry, and everybody who's ever come from that industry said she does the best 3-way call training ever. So what we all need to do, most of us on here are a lot of the same faces. And thank you guys for coming. And I hope you're getting a lot of value. Do not hesitate, all of us, to start helping each other with 3-way calls, right? On anything and everything that he's referring to. I love the whole deal. Just keep giving, just keep giving, just keep giving. And they're going to slowly keep coming back to us. And that sounds like that is your overall approach, George, which obviously is working. Give value, give value, give value. 3-way call, lots of stories. And at some point they can't stand it. They're wanting to come on board to continue to be around what it is that you offer.
Yeah.
That's kind of the gist of what I'm getting. So I love it. We got a couple more minutes, you guys. Any other question or two that we could fire at George?
Yes, I have a question. Now,
Sure.
when you're in a cold calling setting, George, and George, thanks for the great information that you're giving us. When you're in a three-way setting, how would the conversation go where you set up doing a three-way call?
Okay, so if I'm doing well, if you don't mind, let me give you what I use when I'm doing a cold call for somebody that's not an Icon agent, because Icon agent's a little bit different. But
Okay.
if I'm calling somebody that I want to talk to, or it's a different area, and it's some way, shape, or form, I have some relevant information about them. Hey, you were referred by somebody, because you can ask for referral, who's best agent you know in the area, or you're crushing it. So I always start off with this: hey, it's a business call. Do you have a quick second for me? I'm a real estate agent here in Orlando, or I'm a real estate agent somewhere else. Yeah, of course. So I go right into, before I get into it, what do you think of this crazy market? Now, listen carefully to what they say, and don't be prepared to talk, but be prepared to listen. And it's cool to say, "Oh my God, really?" And they'll continue to tell you some things. So, well, because I'm always going to this, I have to ask. Your business looks like you're crushing it based on what I'm able to see. If you don't mind me asking, where's most of your business come from? So I go pretty much the exact same. I want information more than anything, so I can help and be relevant. And that's my cold prospecting. And at some point, once I know a problem or once I know a success area, I have I have a reason to share some item of value with them. And I also know what's important to them. So now I have a reason to communicate more and come from contribution as well. Of course, I want to set them up on a call with somebody, but I can't just call up. And if it's, well, in this case, let's say, Melvin, it's you and me. Hey, Melvin, it's George Philbeck here in Orlando. Listen, man, I hear you're absolutely crushing it in real estate. I'd love to set you up on a call with somebody you never heard of before about a company you're really not interested in joining. And I want to make sure that I'm really pushy when I do it. You sort of say it's probably not going to be as sitting as well. Sean's like, yeah, don't say that.
Right.
But if we're having a similar conversation, then I'm always going to try and bring value to what your priorities are. Oh, I just wish I knew more about, internet marketing. I got a guy, he's real busy, but if I get him on the phone for 10 minutes, you open for a conversation, because I want to learn more about this too. And this guy is absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, we set it up and just do that. So try and always, you may have the solution yourself. Don't misunderstand me. You may be the perfect answer. So, may I help?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. It'd be great. And then come from contribution, help them. So this is, and then, and then how's it going? You're not getting this kind of help. Your broker's not doing this with you? No. Oh, it's a shame. I'll help you. Let's go.
Okay.
And it's amazing what happens. You have a lot of fun, because your whole day is, well, not your whole day, but your time that you're committed to this is really, it's coming from contribution. And to me, that's most rewarding.
And
Nice.
what's interesting about your approach, George, and hopefully you guys are all gathering this, there's no stress at making your cold calls, because you're simply just calling to dialogue, become a friend, and see if you can pour value into them.
Mm-hmm.
And as I listen to you, I think of Rob Flick also. When you're calling someone, you're looking for somebody who has the right energy, the right open mind, and they're just willing to have a dialogue with another agent. Then you got people that are just sour pusses and just get off the phone, right? They're going to pull you down. But you're just having conversations throughout the day and trying to find out what you could do to potentially help them after you've asked them a few questions. And, just curious, in this crazy market, what do you see as your biggest challenge? And waiting to find out what that is. And you know what, I got a good friend of mine that was dealing with that same thing. Boy, in the last year or two, what they've done now on social media has turned the entire thing around. Man, if I could get us on a three-way call, I know he's very busy. I love the whole thing you're doing about, let me just dialogue with them, get to know them, compliment them, and then find out what some of their challenges are and set up a three-way call. All you're doing on every one of you guys' calls is just contributing. You're giving value, There should be no stress to making those kind of calls.
Yeah.
Right. So
you nailed it, Sean. So think about it for all of us. Now, I'm a prospector. So you give me a list of phone calls and a good script. I can go through it. I'll make my phone calls and I do that. But in the everyday world, when you're out and you're working, and I'm going to ask, I'm going to pull, because Tricia jumped into this one. You're the prospector, is that right? Affirmation from that? Cool. But when you're out talking to somebody, you don't do this. So we're all in a social environment. You don't go like this. Hey, Melvin, are you interested in joining a real estate brokerage? No. Okay, good enough. What about you, Sean? Sean, are you interested? And Theo, Tho, did I say that right, Tho? Is that close? No.
Toy, close enough.
Not even, I butchered the crap out of it. Anyway, love what you said earlier in the chat too, but Toy, so same thing. So that's how you work. You literally just kind of, guys do it this way. Would you like to sleep with me? Would you like to sleep with me? And after we're slapped like 16 times, somebody finally says yes. That's just how it works. You know, and my ratio has gotten better. It's 28 times before I get slapped and then kicked. And then I go home alone anyway, because I'm married. Bottom line is though, I'm going to have a conversation about Melvin. And when I want you to not have your prospecting hat on, but when you have your regular hat on and you're just out talking to people, meeting people, meet them. Find out, how can I help them? How can I serve you? How can I make a difference to you? Because you're awesome and I like meeting you. Here's a secret. Real close, real pay attention to this. This is important. If you're asking questions about them and interested in who they are and what they're doing and who and how they're doing it and where they come from and their family, their family, occupation, recreation, dreams, if you're interested and you're having a dialogue about them and you're helping them talk about themselves, you will be the most interesting person they've spoken to at the entire place, and they will know nothing about you. Mm-hmm. But it makes a huge difference. So try this with your significant other and have a conversation only about them. How was your day? My day was good. Tell me about yours, sweetheart. Oh, I just went shopping. How was that? Would you get anything good? What are we going to do for dinner? Well, I was going to make chicken pot pie. Oh, I love your chicken pot pie. What is it that makes it so good? You know, see what I'm saying? It's just, I'm going to go in. Do that. First off, you're going to get laid tonight. I'm just going to throw it out there. Okay. Because it makes such a powerful difference to the person on the receiving end that you're interested. Most of us are like, yeah, hurry, I got something to say. As opposed to listening. And the best compliment you can give somebody when they say something, actually, let's do that. Toy, just give me a statement about real estate as a whole that is relevant to you. I don't care what it could be, like what you do for real estate as a whole.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, just give me a statement about where does your real estate business come from? That's the question.
From my sphere, keeping in contact with them, showing that I care and giving more than any other agents.
Wow. That's where real business comes from. How many people do you have that you really count in your sphere? Now, that's where we're going with that. Toy, I appreciate that. That pause shows that I wasn't going to go, he said, and from my sphere and the people that I know, oh my God, that's really cool. I do the exact same thing. That's what I do. I've got a really big business. It's all about me now. But a pause and a, wow, that's what I love to hear. Tell me a little more. You now know, and I'm sure you felt this, that I actually was paying attention to what you're saying. And most of us, and this is in daily life, we focus on what we're going to say as opposed to listening intently on what somebody says. And it's okay for you to have a pregnant pause there because it just shows you're paying attention. The little subtleties of communication, and I used to practice NLP a lot more and went through training with it and all that fun stuff. Be very careful of what you're saying, and more importantly, how you're saying it, because it really matters. And your communication is very little has to do with your voice. It has to do with tonality and gestures and conversations, stuff like that. Anyway, that's probably, there's the ADD. I don't know what road I went down, but there was a shiny object there.
Hey, George, man, I want to say thank you. It's such a refresher to get off something like this and go, man, just come from a place of value. Just continue to ask questions and truly care. Pause. I love all that, man. It brings me back just to reality of what I need to continue to do in the midst of my calls. So, guys, we're past the hour. George, we're so grateful, man, that you spent an hour plus pouring into the Freedom Team. We'll get the recording up, if not this afternoon, by tomorrow. And George, you mind me asking, are you still in production right now as well?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Man, I would love to, and I'll reach back out to you sometime this week. See if over the next 90 days, I'd love to schedule on a Tuesday where we do more what we call get more transactions and coming in. What are you doing to continue to grow your business? Would love to find out more about that as well if you're game.
Love to. And I am doing the travel or the comedy circuit. So no, I'm just kidding. I should. You guys have an amazing day. I have a actual lunch appointment with a real estate agent, and I've got to get to it. God bless you. Sean, we'll definitely touch base. And I'm dead serious. I'm here to help all of y'all because one ship, one big fire, all the rising tide rises all ships. We're in this together. Just come from contribution. God bless you guys. Have an amazing day. And
God bless, George.
Thank you, George.
Go Buffs. Go Buffs.
Thank you guys for jumping on, man. Everybody have an awesome week. All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.